Hello and welcome to How to Make a Minecraft Map, the series that I show you how to code texture packs and create plugins and build giant layouts of beautiful Minecraft maps as we create the Adventures of Hot Guy map together. Now this is part 2, so if you haven't seen part 1, I highly recommend you watch it. They build directly off of each other, and you can see I've done a lot of building since part 1. Now it's not completed by any means, there's blank sections over here, but a lot of it is detailed, and I thought I would walk you through the flow of the map, how it would play. So you would start bouncing out of the Hot Guy cave, over the barrel, try to weave through the lanterns, over the river, back up here, across these lanterns, over to the jump pad and the dock, running across the dock, trying to get to the rocks in the fastest and most direct route possible, and finally traveling up the bluff in this jumping setting. Now, it's at this lighthouse that I wanted to put the riptide tridents in so you can trident your way up the lighthouse, but that feature hasn't been coded. So let's pop into Visual Studio and code that feature now. Now to start, we're going to want to be doing exactly what we did with the magenta glazed terracotta, and that's going to be triggering it when it's a block below you, except for instead of it being magenta terracotta, we'll make it cyan terracotta because it shares a color with a trident-ish. So if block squiggly squiggly -1, so that's -1 on the Y directly below you, is cyan glazed terracotta, well then we're going to want to run the following command. Now we're not going to give you an effect, we're going to give you an item. So we're going to do item, and instead of saying give, we're going to replace. So that's going to change a specific slot, because we want it showing up in your first slot, with another item. So we're going to specify this is going to happen to an entity, it's going to be at the player, and it's going to be container .0, because that's the first container, because in computer science you start counting at 0, and we want to replace it with this trident. This is just the normal trident except for enchanted with riptide, and we want it to give you 1. So if we load back into Minecraft, we would see that when we stepped on a glazed terracotta block, that container will be replaced with a trident, and if we step on another one, it's not going to give us another trident. It's just going to keep replacing that one container with the same trident. However, unlike magenta glazed terracotta or yellow glazed terracotta, we don't want you to be able to jump over getting a trident. So we're just going to copy and paste all of this, and we're going to do it exactly the same except for with -2. And that way, if you're jumping over it, theoretically, you'll still be able to get your trident. So you can see now that we've reloaded, if we place down cyan terracotta and walk on it, we will get a trident, and we won't get any more tridents until we move the trident out of that position, and then we'll get another one, even if, as you can see, we jump over it. So now, anytime we make it so that you have to run over cyan terracotta, when you run into the lighthouse, you will be able to trident your way all the way up to the top. Now once you get to the top, I want you to be able to elytra across to the next island, which we'll build all the way over there. And so we need to do a very similar thing, but with an elytra. So when it comes to coding the elytra, you have to remember coding's most sacred principle, and that is copying and pasting. So take what you did with the trident, and we're going to change the terracotta to red. We're going to replace container 0 with armor.chest, because that's where an elytra goes. That's not how you spell armor. And we're going to replace the Minecraft trident with a Minecraft elytra. And we're going to do it again for the block directly beneath you in case you jump over it. Now, the one thing we want to avoid is a player having both a trident and an elytra at the same time. So we want to make sure we are clearing the trident when we get the Minecraft elytra. So instead of running item replace entity, we're going to do clear at p Minecraft trident. So that way, anytime you ran over the red terracotta, you won't have a trident. It'll switch you from a trident to an elytra. And I would like to do the same thing for the cyan terracotta so that it gets rid of any elytras you might be wearing at the time. This way you can't get both items at the same time. So we're going to do clear @p Minecraft Elytra. And now that should be ready to go. So now if we reload our function and we put in the red glazed terracotta and we run over it, we lose our trident and we gain our wings. Look at us flying around. And if we go back onto the trident block, we lose our wings and we gain our trident. Now the one thing I don't want players to be able to do is just jump into this water and trident their way across. And I don't want them falling into the water at all, because once they fall into the water, they're not going to be able to get up in any efficient manner. They'd have to trident back over there, and we just don't want that happening. So we should code in a reload feature that enables it to teleport them back to spawn, or in the future, a later checkpoint that allows them to continue their run without stopping. Now, conveniently, I've put black terracotta, glazed terracotta, underneath the sand that will allow us to code this. So let's get to work. So we're going to start with our favorite coding principle, which is copying and pasting. However, we want the block to be -5 because we don't want it to be once you get to the bottom of the water. We want it to happen as soon as you hit the water. We're going to want it to be black glazed terracotta. And instead of clearing your inventory, we just want to TP @p to the coordinates 128, 60, -316, 90, and 0. And soon we'll change this so that it teleports you to a specific checkpoint. But for now, we can just teleport you to the start of the race. So if we go and we reload it, upon jumping into the water, we'll get teleported back here. And oh, something's different. I'm a hot guy. So now that we have our Elytra in place and are respawning in order, it's time to work on the next section, which I want to have these big stone pillars sticking out of the water, and you're going to have to dodge them and weave with your Elytra across them. And to do this, we're going to use Worldedit. So if you already know how to use Worldedit, this will be a very basic tutorial. You can skip ahead, but otherwise I'm going to teach you 3 methods to shape things that we're going to try out with our pillars. So the first of the 3 methods I'm going to teach you is the cylinder command. It's probably the easiest for what we're doing here. And I've turned the data pack off so I won't get teleported when I jump into the water. It's a real simple way to make a cylinder. You're just going to type // because anything in Worldedit is // SCL for cylinder, and then the block you want. We're going to do red concrete. As you saw in the beginning of this video, I normally do my bigger builds in red concrete and then texture them later. And then we're going to do the radius. So I've smoothed it out a little manually, and I think it looks really good, really like a pillar you might find shooting up out of a beach. And now I want to teach you the second method, which I think is one of the coolest things in all of Worldedits, and that's brushes. So holding a tool in your hand that's not the wooden axe, you type / brush sphere red concrete 2. And this will create a sphere with a diameter of 2 anywhere you right click. And this is really helpful for if you want to make pillars that maybe aren't necessarily straight up and down. They kind of lean, they have more curves and stuff, and you can do much more with this than simply the cylinder command. Now, it does take a lot more smoothing because it kind of looks blocky and chunky, but it's still one of the best tools. If you go back and watch the beginning, you can see I used it to make this entire island. In fact, here's some section right over here that I haven't smoothed because I wanted to show you the big spheres can quickly be smoothed into more flat sections. So the third method we're going to be using is the wand to copy and paste. Now the wand is the wooden axe, and it's an incredibly helpful tool in Worldedit. It allows you to really quickly and easily make box selections that you can modify or copy and paste, and you can do a ton with it. So if you go down and you right click, the very corner of the build, and you left click it with the wooden axe, that's your first position. So it'll make a box between that point and the other corner of your build. So you're going to want to go up to the top in the other corner and make sure you have a block there. And you're going to want to right click this one. So we have our first selection and our second selection. Now go where you want to copy and paste from because it'll copy and paste in the same orientation. So I'm going to copy and paste from the bottom because otherwise you're going to have, you know, if you paste it from up here, it'll appear in the sky, and we don't want that. So we can type / undo to get rid of it. So we don't want it to be in the exact same position and orientation as it is over there. So maybe what we want it to be is a little shorter and rotated. So we just type / rotate 90. So it'll rotate 90 degrees, and now we'll be copy and pasting it this way. And then maybe we'll dig a few blocks down before pasting it and paste. Now we have our beautiful little pillar rotated, and obviously we'll want to go through and scale it and change some things so that, you know, it looks different and it's not just the same pillar copy and pasted a bunch of times, but it's a good way to give us a starting pillar that we can edit from. So using the cylinder technique, the wand technique, and the copy and paste technique, I'm going to make a whole row of these pillars that you have to weave around with the Elytra, and I'll show you how to texture them after that. So I've been really able to get these red pillars into positions where I really like them. There's a bunch of different routes. Obviously there's one to the far left and to the far right, but those are really out of your way. They're really slow, which is why they're so easy. If you want a good time, your best bet is this fastest route through these two pillars and across these two into what will later become the Pirate's Cove, where they hide their treasure. Now, I want to be able to texture all of these red pillars to be a multitude of different colors that look more realistic than red concrete sticking out of the ground, but I don't want them to just be one color all over, because that's boring and it doesn't look realistic. What I want is the bottom part to be these three darker colors, the cracked deep slate bricks, cracked deep slate tiles, and cobbled deep slate. And then I want a small layer, maybe 4 or 5 blocks of bone block and calcite, and then I want the top to be tough deep slate and cobbled deep slate as a more lighter version that hasn't ever been submerged. And we're going to use two different methods of texturing for this so that I can show you both ways. The first is going to be a masking brush. So we're going to type / brush cylinder orange concrete, and then we're going to have a radius of 6 and a height of 2. And so this will create these big orange cylinders everywhere we right click. Now we don't want it overriding the air or any other block. We just want it changing the red concrete to orange concrete. So we're going to undo that, and we're going to type / mask red concrete while we're holding the wand. And now we just have these little red or orange cylinders that we can use to texture. And so this will be the part that'll later be white with the bone blocks and the calcite, and it'll be sort of a mineral deposit where, you know, the water was there and some minerals got into the water and were formed into these pillars. Maybe it's limestone, maybe it's some other type of lighter rock, and it'll just make it feel more lived in, and I think more real than if it was all sort of one layer. And so that's the first method to texture. The second method we're going to use is we're going to hopefully be able to not get teleported back to the cave when we land on this block. And we're going to left click this block right over here, and then we're going to go all the way to the corner. We're making a really big selection with our wand, and we're going to go to about the right height and type /up 1, and we're going to right click. And now we have a box, and instead of doing replace near, we can just type replace, and that'll just be for the section we just selected, red concrete, pink concrete. So now we have our pink concrete section. We'll have to go back and do that pillar later. And we have our orange concrete section, and we have a red concrete section. So we're going to go into the center, and we're going to do / replace near. So this will be any block within 75 blocks of us that is orange concrete will be replaced with bone block and calcite. So now we've got that section right there. Now, next we're going to do the same command, but instead of it being orange concrete, it's going to be pink concrete, and we're going to do cracked deep slate bricks, cracked deep slate tiles, and cobbled deep slate. And then we have the bottom section down there, and then we're going to do the same thing yet again for the red concrete. So we're going to type the exact same thing, and we're going to replace it with red concrete, and we're going to do tough deep slate and cobbled deep slate. And there we go. And I think that looks a lot better. Obviously, it needs to be detailed, but a lot better than if we had just made it one color. Obviously, we'll do this pillar later. Oh, that pillar turned out wonderful. So I think that's all that we're going to have time to learn today. Now, in the next episode, we are going to have a ton of fun. We are going to learn how to make resource packs for all these special terracotta blocks. We are going to learn to have automatic checkpoints and respawning to those checkpoints, and we're going to build a lot more of the map, and we're going to learn some game design principles as we do it. So that'll be wonderful. If you can guess what this map is based off of, put your guess in the comments. That will be revealed next episode, and if you are excited for that, subscribe, stay tuned, and I will see y'all later. So long.